Hello, hello. Welcome to a brand new episode of I Like Art podcast. My name is Sara Glupker, and I'm an artist based in Michigan, and I'm really excited to introduce you to my guest today. I'm in Michigan, so I pretty much assume everybody in Canada is my neighbor, but I have a Canadian artist on here, and her name is Julia Veenstra. So before we dive into the episode, I love to encourage my listeners to go ahead and hit the pause button. Go check out Julia's work. We will have her links in the show notes. And it's so great to get an eye on the artist and the art. I feel like it just enriches the whole interview experience. And then come right back. And so now I'm assuming you're back, and I'm here to introduce Julia. She is a renowned Canadian artist and entrepreneur known for her lively composition and vibrant use of color. Having lived in various countries through her life, she incorporates diverse influences into her impressionistic and representational style. It's no surprise then that her work is found in collections across the globe. She chooses acrylic as her medium of expression due to its immediacy and the ability to create bright and vivid colors, which I'm totally there on the same page with you. As far as that, Julia's artistic journey has led her to focus on capturing the vivid landscapes of her native Canada, for which she has gained national recognition, including a feature on the coveted Royal Winter Fair poster. As an entrepreneur, she's made a significant impact on thousands of artists and collectors worldwide through initiatives like the Square Foot Show that we're going to talk about today, Art Labelle, and her new gallery, Crown and Press. You can often find Julia in her studio, a converted garage, at her home on Beach Boulevard in Hamilton, Canada. Welcome to I Like Art podcast, Julia. How are you today? Thank you so much for being here.
I am so well, and thank you so much, Sarah, for such a wonderful introduction.
Yeah, well, you made
That
my
was
job
great.
so easy. And Julia, you are a painter. So we
I
have a
am.
painter in the house, which you're my people. And I absolutely am a huge fan of your work. I got to know you a little bit better because I'm participating in this round of the Square Foot Show, which I'm
Congratulations.
really
That is wonderful. We're excited to have you.
I know, and I'm truly honored. What a great group of artists. It's just, I bet the jurying process is not fun and not easy. And I'm just really, really honored and excited to be a part of this. So we will talk a lot about that, but I want to rewind. I want to get to know
Okay.
you, the artist, a little bit more. My
Okay.
audience is a group of artists, but also people who are interested in art as a topic. And so we just want to get to know you as the artist first. So share
Okay.
your
I'm
story. You
ready.
can go back as far as you want. What was your childhood like? Did you always know you wanted to grow up and become an artist and a business owner? You do so many things. Yeah, just go ahead and start.
All right. No, I think I did always know I wanted to grow up an artist. I was one of those little kids that were that was identified in grade school by the teachers that, she can
Mm.
draw, she knows what she's doing there. I do remember in grade 3 being told that there were no such thing as blue trees, Julia, and I'm like,
Mm.
it's a painting. I can put a blue tree in if I want. And I remember thinking it, so I already had that kind of thought process like don't tell me what to do.
Hmm.
And so I won all the awards in grade school and high school, and went on to Sheridan College, which is a renowned college up here in Ontario. It actually produces, I think, so many cartoonists, like animators, who have
Mm.
worked on so many films. And I did not take animation. I took illustration for 3 years, and it was wonderful. Then I got married, and I had 5 wonderful children.
Oh, you have five
And
kids. I did not
I
know
have
that.
5 kids, and I had them all within 6 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
I have twins in there. So I had 5 kids under 6. So when I worked, it was when they were sleeping. And now my day goes by, and at 6 o'clock I'm like, I'm done. I can't even imagine that I used to take out my sewing or my painting or whatever at 7 o'clock at night and start once those kids were in bed. My husband always says this is why you don't have children when you're in your 50s, because
Mhm.
it, the energy level that it took. But I was always an entrepreneur. I was a very bad employee, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but it's true. I never liked working at a job. I never liked being told to go there at 9 and to come home at 5. And however, I work very, very hard. I do a lot more than 40 hours. In fact, I just heard a little quote that said, "You have to do more than 40 hours to get your dream." And I'm like,
Whoa.
"Oh, that's a true one."
Mm.
And they applied it to even, to relationships. You gotta put in the work. So it's not
Mhm.
just your career. It's just in life what you want to do. I always knew I wanted to work for myself. So
Mhm.
when my kids were little, I would I did all sorts of things, like shabby chic was in, I painted
Mm.
furniture, I made cards, I did whatever I could to bring in a little bit of extra money, and people seemed to like my work. I painted old chairs and put flowers on them and wrapped grapevine around it and sold them. And I mean, anything creative, I did it.
Mhm.
And it was super fun. And then we moved to Africa.
Whoa.
And
I think I knew
yeah,
that.
yeah, we lived in Africa for 5 years, and while I was there, I was captured by the people. So up until we moved to Africa, I had been purely a figurative painter. I didn't do landscapes. I didn't
Really?
find I didn't find those trees and all that captivating, and, I did a lot of figurative, and I think it's the stages that you're in. So I was in my like, with my kids, my that childhood, and they were so attractive to me. And we were just coming out of up here in Canada. There's a watercolor artist called Trisha Romance,
Mm.
and in Canada she's very popular as well as Robert Bateman. And so there was a Trisha Romance watercolor phase
Mm.
in the country,
Mm.
and I was part of it. And I did a lot of portraits of children, and I did pastels. I used to, when I was in college, I was that pastel artist at the fair,
Mm.
doing caricatures and pastel portraits. So I did mostly portraits. So Africa was amazing for that, with the colorful people, the dress that they wore, the market scenes, the mountains, like everything was amazing. It was a dry, dusty land. So again, I didn't really find the landscape all that appealing, but the people were amazing. And when we moved back to Canada, I didn't find white people as, wonderful anymore. And those we didn't have those market scenes. And I'm sure I could find them, but that isn't what captured me. So what captured me was coming back to Four Seasons and
Okay.
the colors and the chartreuses in the spring and the fall, autumn colors. So, and then all of a sudden I was drawn to those shapes and balances. So I became a landscape painter. And as my entrepreneurial spirit said, my husband's like, "Well, you got to make some money. You need a job." And I'm like, "I don't want a job. I'm not going to get a job. I don't want to do it." So I had to go back to painting and figuring out a way to make more money. And I did all the little shows and I painted. And my first shows, if your listeners or viewers were anything like me, looked like I was a gallery show because I had put anything in it. I put everything in it.
Mm.
Watercolor, sunflowers, watercolor Maasai warriors, watercolor, this acrylic trees, flowers. Like I just put it all in there, and there was no cohesion.
Mm.
I sold stuff, but there was no cohesion. And as I worked, I started building a little bit of a body and of work, and I found that my Muskoka kind of trees became. And Muskoka is a region of lakes, fancy kind of region of lakes where cottagers go. All the famous, actors and actors have their
Mm.
cottages up there, and I'm sure in Michigan you have
Mhm.
stunning lakes and
Yeah.
cottages. And I used to paint. I started painting those, and I remember I painted. Oh,
It's okay.
sorry, I should
Mm.
turn that right off.
No
And
problem.
I I started painting, and I painted a particular small tree that just seemed to be, I liked it, and I took it up to a show. and it was a weekend show that I was doing when my kids were in university. So I went up and I applied to do a show, and I got in. So I took this tree, and somebody came up and said, "I love this tree. I want it to be 3 by 6 feet. Can you
Mm.
do a big tree?" And I was like, yes. And then, I gave her a quote, and the quote was the most I'd ever kind of quoted, and she was all for it. So I did the happy dance, after she left. And now we're all motivated by praise. And
Mhm.
as people started really liking this direction, I was able to kind of focus in on it as an art form and explore it. That got rewarded
Mm.
by people wanting to collect it. So that's kind of the journey. And as I started doing shows and I was working on my kitchen table and a studio in my house, I was invited to go down and look at a building that was being renovated for artists to see if I wanted to take a studio. And at first I was like, why would I want to pay rent when I can just, work in my on my table? But I went down and I looked, and it was in the middle of Hamilton where the art crawl was a thing, and they had been doing it for a couple of years. And the first Friday of every month, people would
Mhm.
just load up the street, and any artist that had studios, which were quite a bit on James Street at the time, would open up their doors and people would tour, and it was fabulous. So they invited me to come down and just set up while they were still renovating the building. And I did that for 3 months. And every month I sold enough to pay what would potentially be the rent.
Oh, that's
So I
great.
just, yeah, so I decided to go for it. And at this point, my husband knew that I could make the money, because I remember over the course of the life, the first time I spent $300 in art supplies, it's like,
Mhm.
oh my word, are we going to be able to eat this week?
Right.
Like
Mhm.
and then I sold a painting from it for 300, and he was like, okay, you buying art supplies is not going to break us. And then buying, every time I got a little bigger and a little bolder, it would freak him out. But then every time it would
Yes.
make the next thing. So when I said to him, I think I'd like to try the studio, for a little bit. And he's like, well, you've proven that you know what you're doing and you can do it. So why don't you go for it? So it was the best thing I did on that tour. Every 1 month of every Friday, it was kind of
Mhm.
like paying for a show.
Yep.
So the rent,
I had a
the rent
studio
I
like this in
did
Kalamazoo,
you?
Michigan. Yes, they had art hop first Friday of the month, and I was in that building for 6 years, paying rent on it. I also worked for the owner of the building doing their marketing. It's a whole nother story, but
Yeah,
it was wonderful because you started to get collectors and people that would see you often. Yes.
absolutely. And I
Mhm.
considered the rent kind of like a show fee.
Mhm.
If you're going to enter a show, because hundreds of people would come through. And I
Mhm.
got discovered by clients and collectors, and I got discovered by galleries. And eventually, because I was dedicating my work, so if I drove there, I'm a person that if I have a membership at a gym, I go. So I don't have a
Mhm.
membership at a gym because it takes too much time. But if I had one, I go. So I had the
Mhm.
studio, so I went and I worked. And my kids had to, if they forgot their lunch, oh well, like they were
Mhm.
all in high school, so it wasn't terrible. They could figure it out. But I worked so that I could build this, and I got discovered by various entities, and it just
Mhm.
kind of grew from there. It was wonderful.
Yes. So I feel like I've been on a similar path. And then you have a studio now near your home. So eventually you left that space to build your home studio.
Well, actually, my husband is a contractor, so James Street was really just um, burgeoning, and it was starting to build. So, and we had come home from Africa, and we had bought a house, and then we were like, how do we kind of get ahead? We then moved to another house that had a rental in it because we thought there's no way, like, because we came back from Africa with next to nothing, and we needed to figure out how to build, retirement. We can't
Hmm.
work forever.
Hmm.
And so we thought a rental unit would do it. So we did do that. And then because I was on James Street and because I was working with the owners, it was a group of owners who had bought, lawyers who had bought this building and renovated. And one of them was quite taken with buying buildings on the street and asked us if we wanted to be involved. So we bit the bullet, used our entire line of credit and bought the building, paid off, tried to pay off the line of credit as soon as I could. And we bought the building, renovated the building. My husband renovated, and I took one of the retail spaces to be
Mm.
my actual gallery. So I was there. I was in the space on above a coffee shop for about 3 years. Then I moved to my own building, and that was for almost 10 years. So I was
Okay.
on James Street in my city for about 13 years. And then COVID hit.
Mhm.
And then during COVID, we renovated this shed that's on my property
Mhm.
where I'm sitting now. And uh, and I left the James Street space. And it was okay because James Street had given me everything I needed.
Mhm.
I had a following, I had built, things, including a square foot show, which we'll talk about. I had
Mhm.
a square foot show there for about 5 years
Okay.
before I left that space. So
And now,
now, yes,
yeah.
I just come out from my kitchen with my coffee and I come out to
Mhm.
my studio here.
It's wonderful. It's such a
Thank you.
privilege, right? It's not ever
It is
yeah.
a privilege.
Yeah, not everybody gets to have a dream space, and but all of those different spaces, I think it's good to talk about um, the transitions that you've made with your work, with changing your style, allowing yourself to experiment and go with what you're drawn to and not what has
Hmm.
been working per se, but also the transitions of moving spaces and adapting because you may be in a dream space, but then you have to downgrade to a smaller space or your kitchen table. And then in a few years, then you can move to a different space. That I think
Yeah.
sometimes as artists, we put ourselves in these boxes and it's, I failed or this wasn't working, so nothing's going to work. And I love that you really followed more intuitive path and, yeah, and just kind of went with
Yeah.
it. And
That
yeah,
doesn't mean
COVID
any of
definitely
those that
oh,
COVID, but it doesn't mean any of those decisions were scary.
yeah.
And you had to work really hard. And I'm a business person, so I had to figure out, how many paintings do I need to do that pay the rent? How
Mhm,
many do I need to do to pay off this line of credit?
mhm,
Um, and what kind of paintings pay off that line of credit? Because
mhm,
I could be really experimental in it, but if nobody likes it, so I kind of coined a phrase that it's like your grocery money paintings. So I always
mhm,
encourage an artist, create a line of your grocery money paintings, paintings that will pay the bills, that will sell consistently while you're experimenting on the big and better in the next move.
mhm. Love
Yeah,
that. That's so wise. All right, what do we wanna talk about next? Should we just start talking about the square foot show? I
sure.
think yes. So, explain the square foot show. You can go back as far as you want and let
Okay.
our listeners know about it.
Okay, so the Square Foot Show is a wonderful, right now, online show. It's an online presence, and we've been building it since COVID, the first year of COVID. So, like I alluded to, in my gallery on James Street that I had for 10 years, I had a Square Foot Show there. The first year, I did my own. I painted over time about 40 square foot paintings, and I put them up, and I was really excited. And I opened the doors at 7 o'clock and no one was there. And I was like, oh no, I suck. This is terrible.
Mhm.
But by 8:30, I had sold out.
Oh,
So that was
wow.
yeah. So it was an art crawl as well. I think I coordinated it during an art crawl, but I had sold out. So the next year I was like, this is great. And I was starting to build an Instagram online presence. So people
Mhm,
from across the country were saying, well, how come I can't buy them? And I was not savvy at that point with putting things on a website, having that people could just buy, like Shopify site or anything like that. I didn't have e-commerce. So
mhm,
I was like, I don't know how you could buy them. It's a in-person show. So that was
mhm.
just it. It was just an in-person show. So
And
the
time
next
out.
year,
What could you explain what a square foot painting is to somebody
so
who
a
is
square
like
foot painting, yeah. Yeah, for sure. A square foot painting is simply a 12 by 12 canvas. It's a square
Mhm.
foot. So just a 12 by 12-inch canvas.
Yes.
And I also consider a
Yes. You're
12 by
holding up
12
your round
round.
one of your beautiful round paintings for
Yes. So I
yeah.
also consider a round to be a 12 by 12 as well.
Mhm.
But so I would put them all on, and I put them on at a reduced price. So everything was on sale. It was a sale show. So I had, over the course of 5 years, I had introduced over 30 other artists that I would collect 3 to 5 of their paintings for my square foot show. I would line my gallery with them. I'd have hundreds, and we would have a lineup down the street, 60 to 75 people at a time, would line up for opening day. They would come in. I'd take a video. It was crazy. I was always feeling like anybody who had anxiety about space and being crowded, uh, they would not like this place. But they would take them right off the walls. They would buy them right there. They'd buy 2 or 3 at a time. They'd have 4 in their arms. It was
It's like a
really,
dream.
it was amazing. And then COVID hit. And
Mhm.
like anybody else, I decided, okay, COVID hit. It's supposed to last 2 weeks, right? I'll go home and start painting from home. Then I don't have to drive into my gallery. Okay, this is going to be a nice break. Then COVID kept coming. And then I started getting notifications from my galleries that they were
Mm.
they were shutting down. And I was like, oh no, like that's nobody going to the galleries. They're not allowed to go and take artwork to people's houses. This is going to be bad. But for visual artists, I found that COVID was pretty good.
Mhm.
And the thing that I found with Square Foot Show is that a lot of the Square Foot artists that have applied now, since 3 to 4 years ago when we first put it online, found themselves because of COVID. So there's a
Mm.
lot of people that started painting during
Mhm.
COVID that had
Mhm.
underlying talent that they didn't explore, but COVID
Mhm.
allowed them the opportunity. So the first Square Foot Show, then I said, okay, I'm going to have to put this online. And I went to my team at that point. I had been growing it, and my web guy, and I said, I gotta put this show online. So they did. They took it and they put it online. I had all sorts of the artists. I had them keep their square foots at home and send
Mhm.
me photos.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of stuff to do, and getting their photos in, and we did it. And my now partner in Square for Show, Elias, said, well, how many people do you think are going to be, basically virtually lining up for your show? And I said, well, we always had about 60 to 70 online. So maybe 100 people will come. And a lot of people would always buy 1 or 2. So I think we're going to do really well with the
Mhm.
online format. Well, in the first 5 minutes, it crashed. We had 2,000 people hit the
Oh my
site
word.
trying to buy. Some of the artists sold 6 and 7 of the same piece because people were buying it within the same second. And
Oh, whoa.
I hadn't used a platform that was big enough
Mhm.
to identify those microseconds. Like Shopify is perfect, but it's a bigger platform. So I woke up in the middle of the night going, what was that? What did we make? We only had, let's do simple math. We only had 100 paintings at $300. That should be, this much money. Why do I have this much money? Why do I have more? So I'd have to go in and we'd have to check. Oh my goodness, 6 artists sold 5 or more pieces of the same piece.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That doesn't yeah.
So that's crazy. It was this COVID, everybody was online, right?
Mhm.
And so those artists were so gracious, and all the buyers were so gracious. They just wanted a piece from that artist. So the
Mm.
artist either repainted or showed them other options and bought.
Mm.
Everybody, it was such a beautiful
That's
community.
awesome.
And so then Square Foot Show online was born, because the next day my team, who are very smart marketers, phoned me and said, we bought squarefoot.show.com, Square Foot Show Instagram, Square Foot Show Facebook. And they said, let's do it. So we started that year with another show. We started with headliners. We built to 4 shows a year. Now this year we have 6 shows.
Mm,
Next year, we're hoping to do one a month. And
amazing.
and the goal is to lift artists who are new, like the artists. It's what's fascinating is 3 years ago, the artist list was a very small list of artists that I knew personally and from, being in shows and everything. Now we're getting applications from people all around the world,
Hmm.
all around the United States and Canada, people that I've never seen their work before. And it's an opportunity for people to be lifted up, to be introduced to new collectors, because we've got a great collectors email list now. And we're just building to the point where it's very exciting. We're even, like you said, jurying's hard. So we're increasing our jury. And it's been such a joy. And so Square Foot Show sells for 300 US, 350 Canadian. It is
Dollars,
a sale
$300
dollar.
US
Yes.
for an
It
original piece of art.
yeah, it
350
is a
Canada. That's
sale.
amazing. It is a
It
sale.
is it is a sale because my pieces sell for 600 normally.
Mhm.
And so sometimes artists will balk at that, but then they'll
At the
see the
price?
benefit at the price because, Square Foot Show takes 40%. Shipping is free, so we give the artist 60% to cover, the commission and the shipping.
Mhm.
And sometimes artists say, I don't know. And I'm like, well, you don't have to know. We've got a lot of applications. It's okay if you don't
Yeah.
apply. But here's the testimonies that people have had. And we've had artists that have gotten into galleries, that have quit their jobs. We've got a friend now of mine. She was a dentist. She's now a full-time artist. There's a pharmacist friend that she just went for, she said from Square Foot Show, she started with 289 followers on Instagram. She just crossed over 40,000
Wow.
and she's in 3
Amazing.
galleries now. So we're really proud of that. That's something that we're really proud of. And I always have a motto, my personal motto for either coaching or just being with artists is that there's room for you. There's room for
Mhm.
you. And now I'm going to say you have to be working. You have to figure out what your grocery money painting is. You have to figure out your style, your unique stamp. You have to do that. But there's room for you if you do,
Mhm.
right?
I love the accessibility of the show. So,
Yeah,
truthfully for me too, my 12 by 12 paintings are more expensive than $300, but I love the idea of having a chance for somebody, maybe a first-time collector,
that's
to
right.
have a painting or just to have new people see my work because it's all about community. It's all about collaborating. And I've met some amazing, well, I've been
Yep.
introduced to some new artists as following the Square Foot Show on Instagram. And that's been really cool. And I cannot wait to ship my work out. It's the best. But
And here's what we do that's different than a any other kind of show. We are not a gallery. So if I'm selling my pieces in a gallery, they are not going to send me that customer's name
hmm,
or contact info. They want to keep that customer. They want to sell my work to that customer. We send you your customers. We say, here's your customers, put them on your mailing list. We even coach a little bit. Follow up right away. Send them an email. Thank you so much. Add them to your mailing list. It's simply an opportunity to show your work. It is a calling card. What we don't want, so I'm giving you a little bit of a, shaking my finger at the artists that are part of Square Foot Show. Um, don't send us the stuff that's been sitting around and you haven't been able to sell.
right.
It is your calling card. It is new clients getting one chance to see you, galleries who see you and will either pass, swipe, or click.
Mhm.
Send us the good stuff.
Yeah. Can we have a little preview of what you have that you're offering July 11th on the day of
Abs-
this summer?
Absolutely. July 11th, Eastern Standard Time. We go live at 8 o'clock. It's a 1 day show.
8
Um,
PM.
8 p.m. and at 7:30 I'll be going live on all social media platforms. And so you can come in and you can talk with me and you can talk with the artist that I'm going to be interviewing who are going to give a little sneak preview then. And follow us on Square Foot Show on Instagram where we're promoting the artist daily. at squarefootshow.com, register to win. Every time we give away a 12 by 12, and every person on our list is eligible. It's not just new subscribers. And so I'm going to show you, and this is good for people who are watching this on either
YouTube.
YouTube or wherever. I did mine this time on 12 by 12 tondos. So they're birch and they hang. So I did my summer selection. So this is, I haven't even named them. I got to do this yet. I got to name them and load them up so that my team can put them on the website. I think it's almost time, isn't it? To get
Yeah,
our
it
images
is.
in. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You're
Here's a
holding up a
canoe.
beautiful canoe. Your
Yeah,
palette, Julia, is, and the way
it's
that
so
you move
fun.
color, there's so much movement and life to your pieces. Oh,
Thank you. So if you're just listening, you need to pop over um, to Squirford Show on
yeah.
Instagram. You'll be able to see a lot. And Julia Veenstra or J Veenstra Artist on Instagram. I'm putting up a few reels.
Yes. Oh, beautiful
Let me see. This is the
waves.
top there. There's a wave and then another wave. So I'm
The
putting in four
circle is,
four this time.
my goodness, another wave. The circle format is
Yeah.
really cool. I
It's
love that.
really charming, isn't it? It's really charming.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the little girl floating in a
Yes.
floaty.
So that
That
one
was
is
fun
going to
to do.
be the winner. Is going to get that one.
Actually, no. The one that the winner is the one that's our logo today.
Okay.
Like if you go, it's a little girl with water wings, but it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the
Yes.
round
Okay.
one. Yeah.
Yes. Can I show you just two of mine?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I worked on Canvas and we call it Summer in the City. You helped me
That's
name
right.
this series, and it's
Yeah.
all
Summer in
about
the city.
recent trip to Chicago and being in the city I visited a friend's art show, and I've been
I
really
love
playing
it.
with color and texture.
Yeah, that the
There's so much
texture is
texture.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to be making some reels just showing the texture, and I also named them. I already submitted, but I don't remember the names. You
Oh
know,
no, you got to write those on the back.
I know. I haven't gotten there yet. These are fresh. These are brand new. So, and then this one has the cool palette of houses
It is very cool.
and
I love the flowers.
a lot of texture. Yeah. And now I'm thinking I want to make a few large paintings. So anyway, and I made some
There you go.
little smaller square, 8 inch by 8 inch square paintings before the foot show paintings. So now I'm developing a new series, and it's just so exciting and so fun.
And
So
then
thank you.
they springboard. Like you can do a little painting and it'll springboard into a bigger one, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, it's always so fun.
Yeah. Amazing. I think it's a okay. I've curated shows before. I've been a part of shows. I know the amount of work that it takes. So you have a full plate. I don't know when you sleep, honestly, between creating your beautiful art and uplifting, educating artists and doing these shows. How do you do it and why? What's the big why? So, why create a show like this? I feel like I have so many questions and so little time here, but what
Well,
is the
it's
best part?
an interesting combination, right? Like I'm an entrepreneur. So when selling my own work is lovely, but when I first introduced the Square Foot Show and I had 30, other artists submit and I did a gallery pricing where I charged 50%. Oh, I was like, I get to make money selling art too, other
Hmm.
people's art as
Hmm.
well. So, I mean, we all want to make some money. We all want to provide for our families, and so that was a number one motivator. But when these paintings would come into my studio and I would stand and look at them, oh my word. So here's a little secret. I've got two paintings in my house right now that are still wrapped in bubble wrap from my gallery Crown and Press. And my husband is like, "Why are these here?" And I'm like, "Because I might want to buy them." And you just start falling in love with other people's work. And he's like, "I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know." And I'm like, "I might want to buy these." So you fall in love with other people's work. And I think I'm an encourager by nature.
Hmm. Hmm.
Encouraging words is my love language. If I'm a praiser. I like to see people succeed. I'm a bit of a connector. I like to
Mhm.
put things together. Like if
Yeah.
somebody says I need somebody, I'm like, oh, I know somebody. You could,
Mhm.
and I like to hook them up. And so building on that was so fun. And then, how do I do it? I have a team.
Mhm.
So Square Foot Show was not something that I hired to create. My team came together and said, we
Mm.
want to work together as a business. So, and then I've got marketers and like
Mhm.
in that team is marketing and layout and all of that stuff. So, the Square Foot Show is a team, and like I said, we're expanding our jury so that we have more fresh eyes, so
Mhm.
that I'm not always picking the same types of paintings.
Mhm.
We want to expand and we want to give so many styles a different chance. We've got a really neat headliner coming up in for our pop art show that's coming up in August. It's a pop art artist who's our headliner, and in autumn in October we've got Ellie Milan. She's going to
Oh,
be our
yay.
headliner. So isn't that
Amazing.
exciting?
Yes.
I know,
That's awesome.
Spencer Greaves is our pop art, and so we're trying to bring in influencers who also have a community
Mhm.
to expand and just keep growing our reach. Because I mean, at first people would say, "Well, how many people do you expect to buy these square? If you're going to do them every month, like people aren't just going to keep." And I said, "Yeah, we have not even tapped in
Mhm.
to each state or each, the
Yeah.
world. We
Mhm.
can we can just keep spreading artistic joy."
Yeah. Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And
So it becomes encouraging when you see people thriving, and
Mhm.
we're not if people have negative things to say, those affect me. I'm a person. But mostly it's been pretty great.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be someone that's going to not like what you're doing or have something
Yeah,
negative. Yeah. But I
yeah.
think that you have such a refreshing take on just I being surrounded by artists and knowing artists. The ownership that you take over all facets of who you are, that you are a business owner, and that's great, and that you wanna make money, and that's great, and you wanna, create your art, you also wanna promote other artists, and just accepting and loving all of those parts of yourself and not feeling like, "Well, if I do this show, I'm less of an artist." I mean, I'm sure imposter syndrome has kicked in at some points, but I feel like you're such a great example of showcasing all of the different things that you can do and how that's fulfilling. And also that it's not all about Julia and you have a team and
Yeah,
that it truly can take a village to fulfill all of these different ideas. And that's okay. That's great.
yeah. And it does take a village. And we recently opened, my husband and I, Elias again, and Elias Dummer is one of my main partners in Square Foot Show and in the gallery that I own, Crown and
Mhm.
Press, but he's also part
Yes.
of my marketing team. And but we just opened a gallery called Crown and Press, crownandpress.com, and we represent there over 30 artists. And it is more of a traditional gallery. That
Hmm.
is where the clients will come to me. I will like to sell them the paintings. I don't
Hmm.
send out the emails to
Hmm.
customers per se.
Hmm.
Um, and that is more of a traditional
It's a
gallery, and we
beautiful
love it.
space. I've looked
It is a
online. It's
Oh, it's
beautiful.
amazing. It's amazing. And my daughter was a barista manager at Starbucks. So she runs the cafe that's inside the gallery. My son-in-law has his degree in art and in art history. He runs the curating side. And honestly, like when you say, the capacity and the growth, like we've been open a year and we're learning stuff all the time. In fact, we're having a meeting next week with our gallery staff, and we're saying, okay, up until now, we've gotten to know who the artists are, how to hang pieces, how to label pieces, how to get them on the website, how to do all this. We've been receiving calls and selling to those who are coming. It is now time to make the calls, to figure
Mhm.
out how to sell. So it's growth. It's growth in your business and in my business. And from the beginning, like it's increments of learning the different levels and how to market and bring your things out. Now, I do enjoy putting on a good reel. None of mine have gone viral in the last, few months, but I'll still put them on. I don't mind being silly. I don't mind not wearing makeup. I don't mind. Some artists don't want to do it at all and they're scared. I always challenge them that if you don't want to do it, don't. But it is right now an integral part of the artistic business. So it is some things you just got to do,
Mhm. I
right?
needed to
So there's,
hear that.
yep. So there's
Yes.
aspects to all businesses that aren't fun.
Mhm.
And today I did a YouTube um, on what to do, what an artist does when they can't paint.
Mm.
So in my YouTube, I talked about, that I was going to come on and do an interview. And I said, and my grandkids are coming over after lunch to swim in the pool. Now I can paint or do something while they're in the pool, but I can't um be inspired. I can't paint if with those distractions. So
Mhm.
I'm filling my day with the to-do list. I've got
Mhm.
to take these square foot paintings, I've got to photograph them, I've got to submit them, I've got a print to embellish, I've got
Mhm.
different things to do. So I'm filling my time with the things that aren't necessarily as fun, but I realized when I had to put them in. And today's the day. So I'm going to get all the little errands done. Plus, I went and I trimmed a tree. I can't help it. I have to go into the garden every day.
And
I love
your
my
YouTube
garden.
channel it's an art and lifestyle YouTube channel. We will have the links to all of the things, your gallery and your socials and the square foot show, obviously. But I love that. I think it's just so inspiring to I just feel like you live outside of the box, and I think that's just so awesome. And
Well,
yeah.
I think I really do appreciate that. And I'm going to be a little bit personal here. Um, I grew up with an alcoholic father who wasn't
Oh,
part of my family. And my mom passed away when I was 13.
oh my
So
goodness.
I went and I lived with my older sister and her husband, and they cared for me till I was about 16. And then I went out on my own, living with another sister, but I was supported by welfare
Mm.
and I had to figure it out. And I remember as a young child going out for Halloween in neighborhoods thinking, these people have arrived. They have a mom and a dad, and they have a family. I have this house. So it's a real joy and privilege for me to be living in a house and having a studio. I am not, I never forget that little girl that wanted those
Mm.
things. And the things that um, are most important are the family. When I met my husband when I was 18, his mom and dad became my mom and dad, and I have been
Mm.
blessed beyond measure. They're past now, but blessed beyond measure with over 30 years of wonderful parenting and learning from them and being able to translate that into my own 5 kids who have their own kids now. And I think the legacy that has been built is lovely, but I also think it does come out from the generosity of spirit. Like
Mhm.
it's not just me, it's not just mine.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's there's room for everyone. Let me encourage you. You can do it. You can build it. If I could do it, if I was a welfare kid at 16, you know, figuring out now I'm blessed. I married a husband who was a hard worker
Mhm.
and we built some things together. But when we went to Africa, we gave it all up and came back and had to start again. Right. So
Wow.
it's been a journey. And I guess I never want people to just think, oh, she's just a
Mhm.
privileged artist over
Mhm.
there who made it. It's somebody said today, I was listening to something today, and they said overnight success takes about 20 years.
Mm.
And you asked about how do you do it all? And I think my brother-in-law gave me a really neat newspaper article once about Martha Stewart opening a restaurant in Las Vegas or Los Angeles somewhere. And she's like 85 years old or
Mhm.
82. And somebody said, why are you doing this? And she said, because it's fun and
Mhm.
interesting. And
Mhm.
again, she's not the one in there making the food.
Mhm.
She's just part of it. And
Mhm.
with a good team that I'm rallying around myself, It's fun. So I encourage you, like, join a committee, join your local arts stuff. Enjoy building things together because that's what makes the world go round.
Mm.
That's what will bring the people to your studio.
This is like the mic drop moment. We're done with the interview. Cut. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable and
You're
sharing
welcome.
the hard parts too. I just so appreciate that. And wow, I just feel like this is just such a beautiful conversation. So I just
I'm glad,
thank you
Sarah.
again. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I I know you like to garden, and I just feel like okay, so before we go, the Square Foot Show is such a highlight. This one is coming up July 11th. But are there a couple artists that you want to highlight and talk about real quick that you're super excited about featuring? Um,
Well, not any in particular, like over another one. I do want to say Spencer Greaves is our pop-up artist coming up. He's our headliner, so that's going to be fun. And the pop-up artists that are coming up are great. The summer show is full of some favorites who have been in Square Foot Show, many times, but it's also full of new and aspiring artists. So I just want to say go to Square Foot Show Instagram because that's where you're going to see all of these summer artists and check them out because literally there have been times where I'm scrolling through Instagram and an image will come up and I'll gasp and then I'll see the Square Foot logo on the Instagram and I'm
yeah.
like, oh, they're in my show. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my word. And then I'll go do a
Mm-hmm.
deep dive and make sure I'm
Mm-hmm.
following everybody. That's a big thing. A big support, if you're listening, is follow the artists that you like. It doesn't hurt to give them a follow. They
Mm-hmm.
don't show up on your feed 20,000 times a day. And comment. When you comment or like or save, it is a free way to build somebody else up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, invariably those artists will come back to you and they'll comment on you. And like literally we build this algorithm together
Mm-hmm.
and help. I got a lot of tips on that, but
I know.
for at the
I
end of the
love
interview.
that. I will say, since, well, I'm a participant and I will agree with you when I see these artists come up, it's like, wow, I'm a part of this group. This is awesome. And I've interacted with some of the Square Foot Show artists now, and I do feel like my Instagram experience is a lot more fun and enriching. And it reminds me of the way Instagram, quote unquote, used to be. I think we have more control over how our feed looks than we think, and by interacting
Yeah,
with artists that you like, you're going to see more of that type of thing. So that's so amazing. Do we have time to do a little rapid round of
sure.
questions before we go?
I hope I can answer
Is
them.
there anything else that I'm leaving behind? I know I'm skipping a few things, but is there anything you want to say?
I don't think so. I did ask my marketing guy for a code.
Yes.
And I think if you go to my website, I do one of the things I also do is I do prints.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called the company that I started is called Art Label. So
Okay.
artlabel.ca
Mm-hmm.
and I'll send you these links to all of this if you're going to put a
Okay.
big link. And we're accepting applications for artists who want to venture into printmaking but don't want to do it,
Like having prints of their
themselves.
art?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. So, but I sell prints of all my stuff. So
Mhm.
Julia dash 10 dash once
Mhm.
is a code for anybody to use anytime they want to buy one of my prints. Not anytime, once.
Okay.
So once per email. So if you're savvy and you want more, you can use
Okay.
somebody else's email.
Right. We'll put that in the
But
show notes. That's so generous of you. That's
yeah,
wonderful. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, so there's lots of different layers and the big thing I struggle with sometimes is how to use my little Instagram to promote all these different things. And my marketing guy just keeps saying you don't have to. So I'm like, okay. So I do what I can.
Mhm.
Each
Wonderful.
individual thing will grow on its own. So and they don't
Yes.
always need me.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to not think that, you have
Yeah,
to do it all. But
that's right.
okay. Now to the more important questions before we go. Real quick, top of mind, I like to ask my interview people the same questions. So, first question, what is your favorite color?
Blue, like turquoise blue.
Okay. I was thinking about that this morning. I thought you're going to either say like turquoise or green, one of the natural kind of shades.
Yeah,
I love turquoise. Okay. Two, is there a book or a movie mention that you want to bring up just for whatever reason?
a book or a movie mention?
Hmm. Like a book you loved or movie you saw
Oh,
recently that you thought was really cool?
well, I'm studying a book right now called God is Not in Control.
Oh, okay.
Yep, by I'm not trying to remember his name.
Okay.
Don't remember it.
I'll look it up. I'll have
Yeah.
that in the show notes. Okay, so some people get their inspiration when they're in the shower. For me, it's when I'm driving in the car. Where do you get your best ideas or inspiration?
Probably, well, a lot of times I wake up at night with ideas, but
Mm,
when I'm working, for
mm,
me, when I'm working, it creates more. Like people say, "Oh, I have to be in the zone to get into," no, you go and you work and then you get in the zone. That's what happens.
okay. Ooh, that's good. Okay, is there something you wish you were good at but you're not? For me, it's playing sports
Oh,
basically.
for me, it would be singing.
Mm.
My daughter is a master's in in opera and
Whoa.
can sing anything. Elias, my partner, is a Juno award winning, which is like a Grammy in Canada here. He's an award winning singer, and I would love to sing, but I think I would be an okay choir member, but not a soloist.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah.
Um, Now you don't have to answer this, but this is a new question. So, is there something that you find as a guilty pleasure? It could be like a TV show or a snack, something that like you love or you have in the studio. I don't know.
Oh, I like a glass of wine at the end of the day. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to go wineless during the week. It doesn't happen very often.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love a glass of wine too. What kind of wine do you like?
I am a Pinot Grigio white wine girl.
Okay. Yum. I know.
Hmm.
It's wine is so good. That's really good. Okay. Do you have a creative challenge for our listeners? They may or may not be professional artists.
So I've started ending my YouTubes because a subscriber suggested it. I said in one YouTube, like, go do something artsy today. And she said, you should end all your video. And I'm like, I think I will. I think I'll even do a little tagline, make a little graphic that
Mm-hmm.
says, go do something artsy. Go do something artsy.
Mm-hmm.
Cleaning up your studio isn't the best way to get work done, but do something artsy. And my tagline for my YouTube is also living and working artfully. Think think about your world in a very artistic way. Have a cup of tea in a really pretty cup. Have
Mm,
And I'm saying that I don't even drink tea. I have a beautiful mug though. I drink a lot of coffee, but try to make try to make it nice.
mhm, mhm,
Right? I'm a big thrifter, love, love, love thrifting. And I love to find little things that just elevate. Like I have
mhm.
little porcelain things in that hold my toothbrush, It's just do something artfully, do something artsy today.
I love that. That's so perfect. That's like the whole thread with my podcast. It's a reason why it's like we all just need to be a little more creative and just really
Yeah.
embrace all of our artsy stuff and creative nudges and all of that. So that's beautiful. It's a wonderful way to end the conversation. Thank you again so much, Julia. I can't wait. This is going to air on July 9th. So in a couple days after this airs, hop into the Square Foot Show. The best thing to do is to hop on their email list and get a 48-hour preview.
Yeah.
You can find that link through the Instagram, and maybe we'll have a link to that to sign up for the newsletter, to get the preview, to grab your favorite Square Foot paintings and pieces of art before they're gone. And then the show will be a 24-hour show, right? 24 hours?
I,
Yes.
I think it's either 16 or it's 24. I can't.
Okay.
I've asked the question of my team a couple of times. They keep missing it. Dang it.
It's all
They
right.
just won't tell me.
Get it while you can,
But
8 o'clock PM on the 11th.
yes, and if because it is so fast, it is like the Black Friday of sales. People sell out in seconds. We advise you getting the Shop app on your phone. So
Okay.
Shop Pay app, and then really your phone will do it for you. Like it'll zing
Okay.
you in and you can purchase. And we advise purchasing one at a time, because if you put things in your cart, that does not mean they're free, that you have them. If they're in your cart, somebody can take it right out of there.
Whoa. These are very important tips.
Yes.
To listen to the end of the episode to get all of the important tips. So, thank you
Okay.
again so much, Julia. It's been
You're
wonderful
welcome.
talking to you. Thank you for being such a creative force in this world and an encourager, and for doing all of the things that you do. Everyone, go check out Julia Veenstra, her website, her social media, the Square Foot Show, her coffee shop and gallery, all of the things. And yes, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you again, Julia. Thanks for tuning into another episode of I Like Art podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Goodbye.
Bye.